I want to get away from psychedelics being a quick fix because it's not. Even though they have their, benefits and they have their moments where you can like get really like in depth with deep thought, that's great. But I think a lot of times people will almost use psychedelics as a crutch to be like, oh, I'm feeling this way again. I need a psychedelic, and it works sometimes. Sometimes it's needed, but sometimes it's just like, having a routine of making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure you're drinking enough water, making sure you're eating the right foods that are working with your body, that are digesting properly. That's a
Mm-hmm.
huge part of mental health that is not really, I would say, it's not really popular. I mean, like I said before, like there's a lot of conversation around eating right and eating very well, and probiotics is something that's not super new, but it's like gut health is now becoming a very important conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and mental health. And I think if I could give a message or a PSA out to the psychedelic community, that would be the first thing. I think it's really important that people understand that there is something that else that you can do besides an extra substance,
Mm-hmm.
to get your life under control. Hello everyone, I'm here with Jinyen, my friend, for a while. We've been friends for a while. And
20 years,
oh, just about, just
right?
about. So longtime friend. We got reconnected recently, the past, well, before COVID, past couple years, after being friends for a long time. And she's a mother of two. She's a business owner. Pretty awesome mom, if you ask me. And she has a great story about just kind of taking her health and her wellness into second gear after 2020. And yeah, so let's get started. I want to ask you about how 2020 was for you. Like, I'm sure like during like the shut-in period, it was very difficult on a lot of people. And I want to hear your story and how you were able to manage that with two kids. And I'm not sure. I don't know if you lost your job like a lot of people. I know I did. Just, yeah, walk me through that journey.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me on
Of
here.
course.
So yeah, last year was a wild ride, and this year is still a wild ride,
Hmm.
and we don't know what's going on. But the only thing that I knew that I needed to do was try to stay on track. So let's bring it back to March of 2020. Um, when they announced everybody needing to stay home and quarantine. I think it was like March 13th when everybody, that was like the last day for a lot of people in New York. Um, Fortunately, I still was able to keep my job.
Mm.
Um, and they were very flexible with my schedule because I have two kids that are they were second grade and fourth grade, so I needed to do remote school with them and like be there, make sure that they understood how to do everything. They were kind of thrown into it, everybody was, and they had to type everything on the computer.
Mm.
We had to navigate through Zooms and Google meetings and just like the programs and everything. So that was very stressful for me. And
Mm.
I wanted to make sure that they finished every single assignment. And that's from like 8 o'clock in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon, sometimes 3 o'clock. They were doing 4 meetings a day. They were on the screen for like 8 hours.
It's like
So
a
I
nine to
had
five for kids
Yeah, and I still
kids in
had my full-time
elementary.
job.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
and my husband was working too. So, it was really tough. There was a lot of crying. I cried. I cried in my work Zoom meeting. Like they were like,
No.
Jinyan, are you okay? And I was like, I don't think so.
I love your
I'm really
honesty.
not. And that was flowing in from March to like May when I was really like, oh man, this is like too much. Like,
Mhm.
but anyway, March 1st, I told myself I needed to really take my health to the next level. I wanted to enter my year of 36 in this new chapter. So I started the Arbonne 30 Days to Healthy Living
Mm.
challenge, and I conquered it. That was the one thing that I had full control of, that made me feel so good, you know. And I've been doing it. March will be my 1 year anniversary, actually. So I've
Nice.
been I've been doing it, eating super clean. But if you want to have other foods, don't feel guilty about it. Just it's balance. It's just balance. It's learning how to balance your life, what you want, what isn't good for your body, what works well for you.
Mhm.
But yeah, the whole thing about life in general is just how to balance yourself.
Yeah, balance
Don't
is
beat
so
yourself
important.
up.
Mhm.
And just keep learning, keep keep motivating yourself, keep and like help motivate other people, you
Yeah.
know.
So what exactly
So
was the I guess a dietary plan or the meal plan for that program that you started in March?
so our bond sets you up with like a whole 30-day kit with like vegan protein powder. These are the best quality ingredients. We're under European standards,
Mm.
so there's like over 2,000 ingredients eliminated, or yeah, over 2,000 ingredients eliminated,
Mm.
compared to the US, which is like 11.
Mhm.
So I know that the
And
quality
chemicals
is
too.
great, right?
Mm.
And so that really like helped me a lot, and introduced me to prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, just getting my daily servings of fruits and vegetables, and getting into more of a routine. So I know that like I take my green gut glow shot in the morning.
Mm.
That
Green go
that
shot?
Yeah, that's the prebiotics, probiotics,
Mm.
digestive enzymes, my 37 fruits and vegetables all in one shot. And it's helped me so much. I'm never inflamed anymore, and no
Mm.
bloating. I used to swell up and retain water so
Mm.
much. But now I can actually feel the inside of my body like I did
Mhm.
in high school.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice,
and I've
nice.
definitely shed like 24 pounds
Mm.
since since throughout the year.
Mm.
But now I
I
know
guess
how to.
oh,
Uh-huh.
go ahead.
But now I know how to balance myself.
Mm.
You know, I I've eliminated dairy from my just from my whole life, basically.
Same,
It
girl,
doesn't do well with
same.
me, and it doesn't do well with a lot of people. I used to eat
No.
so much cheese and all different kinds. I used to have like cheese tastings in my refrigerator. That's how crazy we
Cheese is
were.
delicious.
Um,
It doesn't go
I know
well in
it
your
is.
body.
It really is. Yeah. So now I'm like more in tune with my body though. Like I
Mm.
can feel it. Once in a blue moon, I'll have like a slice of pizza, like real pizza, not
Mm.
vegan pizza.
Mm.
And I can taste the difference. But my digestive system is so strong now that it, like I can get it out of my body so quickly now.
Nice. Yeah.
It breaks up quicker because it's had the time to repair the insides of my body, taking all the
Mm.
toxins out.
Mm.
Um, so now, like whenever I do have foods, I'm really absorbing all the nutrients
Good.
because there's a clear path,
Hmm.
you know?
It's not stuff like clogging up the
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes. Just
Nice.
like how like plants are. If a plant leaf is turning brown, it's
Hmm.
using all that energy to fix it and not uh, have any growth in new leaves, you know?
Hmm.
So if we eliminate the brown leaf or the yellow leaves, they can use that energy and focus it on regrowth.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it makes sense, and all that information's out there. We just don't talk about it.
Yeah, and I honestly from an American standpoint, we don't put enough emphasis on nutrition. And even though we're in this phase now where people are becoming more vegan, more vegetarian, and people becoming more conscious about the ingredients in their food and things that are things you can't pronounce that are pretty harmful for you, and wanting
Mhm.
more natural organic foods, there's still a lot that we don't understand here in America about what we eat. And like, for instance, dairy. A lot of people don't realize they have a dairy intolerance or a
Mhm.
wheat allergy, or even
Mhm.
even something that they've eaten their entire life, like peanut butter, could give them a specific reaction and they don't realize. Not a serious like nut allergy, but there are some things. I had a friend that got stomach aches every time they ate eggs, didn't realize that they
Mhm.
had an egg allergy. And because you don't hear about egg allergies, you know what I mean, that often. So
Yeah, I've never heard of
it's very bizarre,
that.
right? But
Yeah.
God, if I
So
had
this
an egg allergy,
really
I'd be really
helps you.
upset.
So this helps you like really listen to your body, like
Hmm.
I
That's
also
another thing
eliminated
too.
gluten too.
Hmm.
Um and I know that doesn't work well for me. I used to eat bread like toasted sourdough and butter every day. Even though I
So
ate
good.
so much vegetables, I still
Hmm.
had the bread and I still had the cheese, and I
Hmm.
never realized that that was harming me.
Hmm.
And it's my choice that I eliminated that because I knew I went through this program and I knew that it didn't work well for me, and I'm like so grateful that I come to realize that.
Hmm.
And like a lot of people know about all of this information, but most people wait till something bad happens to them.
Hmm. And to be like, oh, now I have to change my diet
Now
because I
I
have
have
no
to
other
do it.
choice, and I have to take these pills.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's so much information about food in general and like how it works with your body that people don't really,
A lot of conflicting
understand.
information as well, and that can be very overwhelming in a sense.
I had so I joined Arbonne as a consultant since the end of March.
Hmm.
And so I've helped over 50 of my clients, which are friends and family,
Hmm.
which is great. And I feel so grateful for them to like have me on their journey.
Yeah.
But I had a handful of uh, family and friends that were like diabetics too.
Hmm.
And this actually helped them balance their sugar levels throughout the whole day. Um, and we never realized like what a banana can do to you.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have a banana in the morning, right in the morning when they wake up, right, as a
I had one this
breakfast.
morning.
But no one realizes how much sugar is in a banana and that it spikes and crashes your energy.
Hmm.
And I never
Hmm.
thought about that either,
Hmm.
ever. And so I've learned so much this past year
Yeah,
just
and there's so many
from
plans
this.
out there. They're like, you can have like a fruit smoothie, fruit juice in the morning to start your day. You're great. And it's like, no, you're actually like injecting a shit ton of insulin into people's blood,
Hmm.
by doing that. And then you crash at like, 2, 3 hours later. You had all this
Hmm.
energy because you're hyped up on sugar. You know what I mean? Even though it's a
Exactly.
natural
Yeah.
sugar, it's the amount is just like, ooh, like
At one
beyond what you
time.
would need. Yeah, in the
Hmm.
morning. And
And
I'm not
even
I'm
like
not talking
coffee
about
too.
small drink, like tall ones,
Oh yeah. I can't even believe they can sell like gulp size
It's like
sodas
on a
even.
exactly, but on a normal basis, you're not going to eat like 5 handfuls of fruit within an hour, and that's
Right.
what juicing does, or like smoothies are. It's like you're eating way more servings than you would normally have in that short amount of
Hmm.
time. And that's another thing too, that balance of like spacing out the nutrition that you need. Like just because it's
Yeah.
fruit and it's good for you doesn't mean you need to like shove it all in.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have a
There's
quick
so
question
much
for you.
information out there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
what's the difference between a prebiotic and a probiotic?
Okay. So, there's so much information. Um, I actually have it written down just so it's organized.
Mm,
I don't know. How can I break it down to you?
because I take probiotics, but now I'm wondering, should I take prebiotics as well?
Can I just look it up so I can say it correctly.
Of course.
I don't want to I don't want to say the wrong information because I always have like all my information and it's just hard for me to keep up with everything, you
It's a
know.
lot. It's a lot.
So here I'll just read this little quick line.
Mhm.
Prebiotics and probiotics are both important for keeping our gut balanced and healthy. The difference between the two is prebiotics feed live bacteria in the gut, whereas probiotics are the live bacteria in the gut.
Mm,
So they kind of just work hand in
I
hand.
see.
Let's see. So for prebiotics, it's a stomach acid neutralize. It neutralizes the bacteria, good
Hmm.
and bad, um, before they get to your intestines.
I see. I see. I see.
Um,
Now, there's one thing about why I start taking probiotics, just for like a general gut health. I was trying to, yeah, I was trying to figure that out because I was just out because like you, I was having bloating issues and like I couldn't figure out what was it. Most of it was because of milk. And now that I'm taking
ah,
probiotics now, I can have like something dairy, like say a slice of pizza, because let's be honest,
I know.
letting go of pizza is very difficult. But I'll have a slice of pizza, and normally I'd be like, super bloated and like farting it up the evening. But
Yeah.
somehow, because I was taking the probiotics on a regular basis, it was able to digest it pretty well. And I don't know if it just replaced an enzyme that I have from lactose intolerance or what, but yeah, I know where I was
I
going
think
with
you
that.
cleaned your gut.
I hope so. I hope so. It
I
felt
think
great. And I
so.
have my mental clarity is back since I've been taking probiotics. So I mean, I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
Um
that's exactly what it does. It really
mhm,
uh, it just eliminates all the problems that you had before, like just clears your mind.
mhm, for
I know
sure.
it's helped people with migraines that
Yeah,
don't have it anymore.
really. Just from the
Yeah,
gut health.
from gut health is the most important thing. That's your second brain.
Mhm.
So
I didn't think
if
about
you fix
that.
that, that's like the main part of your body that
Mm,
filters everything that you're putting in.
yeah.
And I've like read a bunch of books and even just like knowing how long it takes to digest stuff.
Mhm.
Like vegetables take like 2 to 3 hours to digest.
Mhm.
Meat takes 4 to 5 hours to digest.
Difference between
So
meat
imagine
and
that,
like poultry?
just like meat itself, like
Mhm.
meat and poultry. So like imagine the people that are having dinner at like 6, 7 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
A lot of people can't sleep right
Mhm.
away, right?
Mhm.
It takes a long time. It's because your body is like working and trying to break everything down.
Yeah, so your energy is hyped up and you don't
Hmm.
even realize. Oh, yeah, and that explains so much.
Yeah. I like, try to eat before 7 o'clock. So then your body has time to recover overnight.
Mhm.
So it can work on the stuff that it wasn't able to during the day because it's like you're using the energy already during the day. That's why they want you to rest and have sleep, and that's how important it is because
The
that's the time
importance
of
of sleeping.
repairing.
Yeah, and I think
Hmm.
that goes hand in hand with eating right and sleeping right is, you really need a solid 8 hours, 9 hours sometimes.
Yes.
And some people need
Yeah.
less, like 6, but like I know with a solid 8, it's the best. It wakes me
Yeah.
up refreshed. I can meditate in the morning. Like otherwise, like I'm totally off
The rest of the
my
day.
schedule. Yeah, I am. Like if I can't get up and meditate or have that like
Hmm.
calm, that's another thing. Slow living. Are you
Right.
familiar with slow living?
I feel like that's what taught a lot of people this year, this past year,
Been
right?
forced to do.
Yes.
But it's it's honestly like I've been, not to take it off of you, but it just 2020 has been quite a wreck. And
Hmm.
towards the end of the year, I started this process of slow living, obviously not by choice mostly, but also like realizing how much I multitask and how much like I'm just like, oh, I need to like being in New York, I need to constantly be hustling, to constantly do this, and this. Hours at my computer, just like drinking coffee, trying to keep that energy up so I can stay up and do all these things, like write all these things and like do all these emails and like create all these events and things like that. And it's just really just not necessarily busy work, but it's just really busy. And I don't need to be that busy to achieve. You know what I mean? And
No
I
one does.
no one does. So I started this thing with like, well, I didn't really just start it, but like I started to slowly just do everything, like have my cup of tea in the morning, really think
Ah,
about what I
yeah.
wanted to do, take a breather, breathe deeply. Breathing is so much more amazing. That's why I meditate every morning. If I don't have those deep breaths in the morning and just like oxygenate my body,
Yeah.
I feel like my body is just like this, like not a huge ball of stress, but just enough that I can get agitated quickly.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
And
yeah.
I feel like people forget that they really need to do deep breathing. So then the
Hmm.
oxygen can actually go to your
It's your
brain because,
brain.
yeah, it needs it. Like, and I think that people are in a rush to do things. And also, like, you're comparing yourself to other people, like, oh my God, they're doing so much. I feel like I need to do that. But really, we should all listen to our bodies. Like, if you're tired, listen,
Hmm.
take a nap, close your eyes for 5 minutes at
Yeah,
least,
and we can't all
and
fit
we have
onto
to
the
listen to
schedules.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
That's probably like the number one is listening to ourselves with food, with our
Yeah.
rest cycle, with what we're doing throughout the day for work or whatever we want to achieve for the day. It's just listening to ourselves, like the having that moment to really connect with ourselves. And I think that's
Yeah.
something that is just that's needed, and this just doesn't happen as often as it needs to. Um,
Also pointing out all the good things that you're doing
mm-hmm,
and
that
not the
too.
things that you haven't accomplished yet.
I guess that comes
You
with
know
the
what I mean?
comparison. Yeah, yeah. Because with comparison, it's easy to be like, this person's doing this, this, and this. I'm not doing that. But you did a host
Right.
of other things that they didn't do. Like, remember that, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. Celebrating these progress steps, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's turn it around a little bit. Um, so as far as all this great eating goes, I how can I phrase this? I don't know if you know this about me. I was vegan for about a year. Well, 9 months, almost
When?
a year. 2015, I started to be a vegan. I'm obviously not a vegan anymore because I talked about it like it's in the past. But I actually had a really profound ayahuasca experience, and for which is a psychedelic. So for what all right, I'm brain farting. So for what I for for the retreat that I went to, they were very adamant about a very specific diet. And
Okay.
this diet, it eliminated a lot of things, like it eliminated dairy, eliminated sugar, caffeine, chocolate, red meat, not oils like fried foods, not all salt completely, but if you can have something else salt free, it was preferred. Eliminate a lot of different things. And then I ended up finding myself having this pretty much a vegan diet. Like, no, I just took out poultry and eggs just to, I was like, why not? If I'm not having all this other meat and it couldn't have seafood either, I might as well. So I did this for about 2 weeks, also no alcohol. Did this for 2 weeks. Went to the retreat, had this profound experiences. And then when I came home, it was like, because I'm a big drinker. In New York, there's a lot of people that are big drinkers. There are bars.
Same.
Yeah, exactly. I love to drink, and there's a
Well,
lot
that's
of
what
bars
we would
here.
hang out
Yeah,
too. That's what we would
exactly.
do.
Exactly. It's such an easy pastime to get together, have a drink, have some food. It's just a chill time. But for some reason, when I came back, I was just not interested in that anymore. Like not necessarily I wasn't interested in drinking anymore. I just wasn't interested in spending all of my time in bars like I'd used to. And so I was like, well, what else am I not
Mm.
interested in? And then I wasn't interested in eating meat anymore. And the very bland, all mostly vegetables, grains, nuts, and fruit diet was like doing really well with my system. And I was like, oh, I can
Mhm.
continue this. So then I continued it for like, I don't know, for 9 months. And then at some point I started eating eggs again. But that whole entire 9 months, I felt amazing. Like
Yeah.
I just loved the way I was feeling. I felt like everything I ate, like you said, you can feel your body again. I felt like
Mhm.
everything I ate, I can feel it processing. I knew when I was hungry again. I didn't force myself to eat at very
Mhm.
specific times during the day if I wasn't hungry, because it's when you're, well, when I was at an office job, like I would have breakfast in the morning when I first got to work, and then around like 12:30, I would have lunch, regardless if I was hungry or not, because everyone else was eating around me. I could smell it. I might as well eat. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? I didn't realize how bad that was for me. Not bad in a sense where I was hurting myself, but just like I was just overloading my body with so much food that my body wasn't having time to
Mhm.
digest. That
Yeah.
it really overloaded me, and I started to really think about that, and I was really more conscious about it, and I was like spacing out my meals more. Some morning I was doing more intermittent fasting. Sometimes I was having
Mhm.
just something to drink in the morning, like a tea and a water in the morning, just because I could feel my body wasn't ready to start eating yet. Um, I didn't do the cutoff yet, the cutoff in the evening. I still ate pretty late, like maybe 8, 9, 10. But if
Mhm.
I wasn't hungry in the morning, and I wasn't eating, and I was just listening to my body and what it wanted and what it needed, and I felt the best I'd ever felt in my entire life. Even growing up, being a kid, like I ate terribly. Like my parents would often give me the very sugary instant oatmeal for
Oatmeal.
breakfast, and
Yeah.
a very salty cardboard ramen for lunch, and sometimes dinner as well. And it was filled with like just bad nutrition and canned vegetables, and
Like
I
processed food
everything was
stuff.
processed, and I didn't realize
Mhm.
that till I was an adult. But yeah, like, yeah, I mean, diet is the huge thing to take control of your life. Honestly, huge.
And I
And
feel like the diet that you had, though, you were incorporating all the foods that kept your hunger balance throughout the
mhm,
day. Like
mhm,
nuts keep you, um, leveled
mhm. It has the
for
oils, it has
maybe like three
proteins.
hours.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's why you weren't as hungry either.
some
And a lot of
mornings,
people
yeah,
don't realize
yeah,
that, you
yeah.
know?
100%. And some mornings, like I would even have just like peanut butter and something like a whole grain toast. Like I was still eating bread, but I would have just like
Mhm.
peanut butter toast, and I was like, oh, I feel great. And tea, and I was like, I feel good today. It wasn't my meal
Mhm.
every day. Again, balance. Like if I was hungry for like something else the next day,
Mhm.
then the next morning, then I would have something else. But I wasn't like very so stringent on this very specific thing that I was just like, I was trying to balance it out as best as possible. Sometimes, even now, sometimes I'll just have like, um, I'll have like dinner for breakfast, like,
Uh-huh.
and it's just, I don't know, it's just whatever my body feels like it needs. Um,
Yeah. And, doing that, you also you changed your taste buds too.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you're not like craving all these other things that you
Mm-mm.
normally were.
Super sugary
Um,
cereal or a donut or,
right. And those things kind of like go through you quickly, and that's why people get so hungry so quickly.
yeah.
But if you keep your hunger balanced and not let it go down,
Mm-hmm.
decline to like starve, like
Yeah.
getting that hunger feeling,
Mm-hmm.
that's when people indulge
Also,
heavily.
remembering that sometimes when I'm very hungry, not very, very hungry, but like when I have a hunger pang, sometimes it just means I'm thirsty as well. And so I started upping my water intake, and I have a lot less moments where I'm just like, oh, I should eat something. I'm starving. I have a headache. And I'm
Yeah.
realizing that was a product of like dehydration because I wasn't drinking enough water.
Hmm.
So yeah, health is,
And we should be drinking half our body weight in ounces per
ooh.
day.
So yeah, I'm gonna do do that math later because I'm bad at
And I never used to drink that much water. I think I had like 2 glasses of water a day, and then I would
math.
have one. I would have one cup of coffee, and then I had some teas. But I
Mhm,
definitely had like a glass of wine, like in the evenings. Like
mhm.
that's what my liquids were.
Liquid
And now
intake.
I'm drinking like 64 ounces plus. Like
What?
I just refill my bottle
How
every
many?
day,
So how
and I
many?
put frozen fruits inside.
How many
Hmm
ounces is the bottle?
This one is this one is 24 ounces here.
Okay, cool.
So
I have.
yeah, and I have a 32-ounce bottle, so I know like okay, if I refill this twice, I'll
Mhm.
have had my daily
See,
amount.
that was my thinking too, because I just got this bottle. It's 24 ounces. And I was like, oh, I guess
Hmm
I'll try to do a bottle a day. And I've been doing a bottle a day, but then this is my second fill up as well. But it's like I'm now starting to drink more. And now my body is like getting used to drinking that much and craving more water. So I'm like, on the right
Oh,
track,
that's
on the right
great.
track. But yeah,
Good.
I definitely know that my most of my life I've been dehydrated. I know that for sure. But
Oh my God, me too. I don't know how my parents let me, but I was having 3 sodas a day. We had a soda machine, like a vending machine in our laundromat growing up, and
uh-huh.
I literally like would buy 3 sodas a day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Not only just for the dehydration, but bouncing off the roof with all the sugar.
I don't know. I don't
Oh.
know how that like all of us were able to do
Yeah.
that.
Well, we're adults now and we seem to be doing great, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, so now I want to ask about psychedelics. Is this a psychedelic sisterhood? Um, and before we start recording, we were chatting about the different types of psychedelics, what's considered a psychedelic. And something that I didn't realize until I really started to study psychedelics like hardcore last year was how much that marijuana isn't considered a psychedelic. And I never thought about it because I'd only really smoked. So I hadn't really had any like I guess like any hallucinations or anything profound, insights or anything like that. So I didn't consider it that. But I will say the few times I did have edibles, I'd have these whole downloads of moments of like, oh, you remember this thing that happened? Maybe we should look more into that. Maybe you said
Yeah.
something here that you shouldn't have, or maybe you need to revisit this conversation. And like it really got me into this space of like and I mean, I never thought about weed as like, any kind of like helper, ally to like, just like a healer. And so now I have edibles, like I have a huge cookie now that I'm just not eating just yet until I need to do some work. But I'm realizing how my habits have changed just around weed in general. Like I don't smoke nearly as much as I used to. My brother just gave me a joint. I took a puff and I was like, oh, I'm good. Like I'm just like just because I've just found so much more benefit when I'm like eating it and having like a moment to where I can meditate and really think over some things because I've been having some wild trips on edibles
Nice.
and it's been good. It's been good. Some of them were like out the gate, like I wasn't expecting it to be super strong, but like I find that having it either in the middle of the day when I want to kind of like wind down from a busy morning or right before I go to bed. It's been good because I can kind of like relax and like kind of like sleep on it. Sometimes I'll have like a good dream where I'm going through some issue and solving it. Could all just be like, what I'll be dreaming about anyway, but I think it usually helps me sleep and get into like a state of like um, a deep introspection. But have you had any experiences with that?
So wait, when you say that you know, do it before you go to sleep, you're doing
Mhm.
like you're taking like indica, right? Or is there like
No.
certain like
So
specific ones that you take?
yeah, so the indica and the sativa are two separate strains. Indica usually gets you really like
mellow, right?
Yeah,
Relax.
super mellow. I guess to remember, indica is in the couch because you're not if you're
Yeah.
smoking, you're not leaving the couch. Sativa usually gets you pretty hype. I used to when I used to smoke a ton when I started. I don't know if you remember Pammy Cakes, the fashion line.
Yeah.
When I
Uh-huh.
started Pammy Cakes, like I was smoking copious amounts of sativa, and it would just get me so like hype and like in the zone, and like I got so much work done with it. But I find I don't love indica because I feel like it doesn't allow me to think. It doesn't allow me to be introspective. It just kind of just like
Right.
I don't know. It just kind of just like puts a like headband. Like that's a strain. I feel like it just puts like a headband on my brain. I don't get to work anything out. It just kind of zonks me out.
Like frozen.
Yes, it's just, I'm not
Yeah.
moving off that
I'm
couch.
more a sativa too.
Same. So, but then
Um,
I find when I have the sativa, then my brain is like working, 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 and I get to like work through things.
I feel like it opens up your creative side
For
even
sure.
more. Like
For
it
sure.
kind of just it triggers it to like just go deeper.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when well, if it was like a J,
Mm-hmm.
I used to do that more often, or like from a bong or a pipe, water pipe
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. But it really hurts my throat.
Oh, the
That's
bong
the
hurts your throat?
thing. Like just
Or
like doing it that way,
mm-hmm.
smoke way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I feel like the next morning I'm just like it just like clogs me. Yeah. Um, but really I only take like one and I'm good. I'm good
Mm-hmm.
for hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so Chris and I, like when we do it, we're so productive, which is
Mm-hmm.
great because uh, we're actually very lucky because I know a lot of people that do it, but they kind of get stuck. They
Yeah.
don't do anything. They just eat, right?
Here's what I found. If
Uh-huh.
you have everything planned out that you want to do, and you're just like, well, this is what I'm doing, then you get hit the J, and then you'll be productive. But if you're like
Make
hit
your
the J,
to-do list.
exactly, because if you hit the J and you're like, what am I doing? You're not gonna do shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I used to be like back in when I was younger, just like in college and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I didn't really know how to strategize it,
Mhm.
right? And then as I got older, we kind of like establish the base of what we're doing and then kind of just then get into the zone, right?
Mhm.
And then it encourages me to work out. Like I feel like I can feel my body better too.
For sure. For
So I
sure.
like start working out. I'm like doing push-ups and sit-ups and like and I can
Mhm.
really feel my muscles. It's completely
And it,
different.
it gives you another sense of your body to where you're like like for instance before if you're not smoking and you're like say doing push-ups when you get fatigued you're like oh I can't do anymore it's easy to be defeated but when you're smoking and you're doing push-ups you're like oh I'm getting to that point but I can do some more it's like a self-motivator it's like I know I can do
Yeah.
more when I'm doing yoga like I was experimenting not too long ago, and I was like, "Oh, let me just do like some stretches," because I hadn't done yoga in like all of 2020. So I was like, "I'm gonna get back into it." So I was doing it, and I was like, "Oh, this really hurts. Oh, this sucks. This is shitty." It was just terrible. Like I was trying to get into these poses, and I couldn't hold them long enough. I was trying to concentrating on my breathing, and it wasn't working. So I was like, "Whatever, put it away." The next day, I was like, "Let me just take a puff and let me see if it can work me out." And then I started to go on the mat and like you said, you can really feel your body. Like I was feeling the stretches and even though the stretching, even though it was like a little slightly painful, I was like, but I know I can feel my muscles getting benefit from it. And I was just like stretching
Uh-huh.
further and getting to deeper poses and like the everything that I was breathing, it felt like I was really opening up my lungs and it was so beneficial. Anyone that I can convince, I always tell them so definitely smoke before you work out. You will have so much better of a workout, not just for motivation
Yeah.
sake, but just like feeling your body sake and listening to your body. You can listen to your body so much better. At least I do.
And like like let your body relax and like know that you're going to be in that zone for like what 30 minutes or
Mm-hmm.
an hour and don't worry about anything else. That's
Mm-hmm.
like your you time
Mm-hmm.
and just focus on feeling your body, you know? And I
Absolutely.
think that's how like a lot of people get paranoid, when they're when they smoke or
Mm-hmm.
they have an edible, they like get paranoid.
Mhm.
That's probably why like I like to set myself up. If I know I'm gonna have to like do some work related stuff, I just do that first,
Mhm.
and then I like for like corporate work
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
stuff. Yeah, because I still have my other job. Um, so I like to like make sure I stay focused on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But then when you're in creative
But it
mode,
depends on the person.
hi. Yeah,
You
that's true
know,
too. That's true too. And it
it's
depends
like
on how
if you can do
you
it,
operate.
awesome. But
I
I
know
know
I
like
can.
mine,
I know I can.
yeah,
My
like
emails get a little bit more feathery and flowery, and I start telling people
yeah,
I love them at the end of emails. You don't want to do that in a corporate world.
that's hilarious.
End it
Yeah,
email
I
to
do
my
get more
boss in Excel.
emotional. You're right. I get more emotional. I'm like, I love this. I love everything. I love.
Mhm. Mhm. True, it's true.
So it
But
has
there's
a
a
lot of
time and a
great
place.
benefits. So,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But
and
yeah.
then even like with like eating healthier, I feel like I can really feel it quicker.
Mhm.
Um, even
Yeah,
like
digesting.
even when I pee though, like I know that's a lot of information, but I can smell it.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's how great my immune system has grown.
Like you can tell when you need something from that.
Uh,
Like
Huh?
if you're not drinking enough water or if
Right.
you
Like I
need a
drink
different
a lot more
nutrition.
water. I'm eating healthier. So now I can actually smell it when I pee and I'm like, whoa, where is that coming
Mm,
from? And I'm
you're
like
sensitive,
the
highlighted.
first time it happened, I was like, wow, I feel like I'm like super healthy that I can smell it.
That's
That's how crazy it
cool.
is.
How does your exercise fit into the new regime? Oh wow, the new
I
regimen of getting back to
I
better
make
health.
sure to I do like 30 to an hour a day
Mm-hmm.
just because it makes me feel good. Like how people like want to meditate and stuff like that. I That's my thing. Like I was like, okay, every single day, this is you. You're gonna do this. This is your own alone time. Get your muscles going. Because right now, my thing was I wanted to lose weight because I was definitely gaining a lot of weight over the years, not knowing that it's literally crept up on me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was eating healthy. I ate so many vegetables, but it was like the breads, the
Mm-hmm.
cheese, stuff like that.
Oh, the
And I
cheese.
was so exhausted from working till 7 o'clock at night.
That
I didn't have
too.
energy, and
Mm-hmm.
you really need to incorporate uh like a workout, even if it's a 20-minute walk. Like you really like I can't even stress that enough now
Mm-hmm.
that I have gone through all of this.
Mm-hmm.
um so I really try to push that, like listen, if like you want to lose weight or if you want to get your gut health going, incorporate some type of physical activity
So important.
just to get your blood needs
Blood
to flow
flowing.
from your brain to your toes. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
a must, or else it's just going to retain and get stuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So I've given myself challenges. Like every time I go to the bathroom, I do 25 squats.
Mm.
Um, or when I'm cooking and I'm like kind of waiting around, or after I clean. Like if I'm cooking, I'll do my squats.
Mm.
Or I'll like sit in the chair and I'll do, my sit up type things.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to just get it in somehow to stay active.
That's so
And I
good.
never
Finding
did
the
before. I was
time.
for 2 years. I wasn't doing anything because I was so exhausted.
Mm-hmm. That's one
Yeah,
thing I noticed about, like, at least with my past job, is when I started to gain weight as well, it was like I wasn't sleeping and I was carrying all that stress with me on top of not
yeah.
eating well at all. And I didn't have the time to, go work out because after leaving the house at 8 o'clock to hop on the train to work all day,
We
and
had
then
similar schedules.
we
I remember
did.
that. Yes.
And sometimes I would get off, like, on a good day, I'll get off at 5:30. On every other regular day, I would get off at like 7:30. So it's like at that time, do I feel like going to the gym? No. So, you
No.
go
You want to
home.
eat dinner.
Exactly. You're starving, you're exhausted, you just want to get out, you want these people to get out of your face. So you hop on the subway, go back home. You get home at like 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
8:30, and you just want to eat something before you crash, and then you start up all over again. And it's
And
just,
not seeing the sun doesn't help either.
oh my gosh. But
I
that
hated that.
I always demanded a window next, like it wasn't like its own office, but I always demanded like my cubicle be next to a window. And like for the two
Hmm.
months I wasn't by the window, I complained every day because I would get so
Yeah.
miserable. I
It
literally,
changes your whole mood.
I don't know how anyone can sleep in like basement apartments, but because like that sun, not getting that sun, I'm just like I can't do it. I did it for 4 years. I was in a room with no windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognize that about myself, about, of like realizing how your body works. Like I recognize that about myself, that I need sunlight. Like in this room, I have two huge windows. If I didn't have these, I would never wake up.
Yeah.
I would just be like, it's still nighttime, even though it could be like noon. My body's just like,
Yeah, your body doesn't see the signals of
mm,
the sun.
mm-hmm,
But like with when you mentioned mood, it reminded me of serotonin, which is related to your gut health too.
mm-hmm,
That's what is producing all the different moods that you have. So if you're not taking care of your gut health,
mm-hmm.
you're going to have more grumpiness and like just uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's why I have you on the podcast, is because, even though psychedelics seem to be I want to get away from psychedelics being a quick fix, because it's not. Even though they have their, benefits, and they have their moments where you can like get really like in depth with deep thought, that's great. But I think a lot of times people will almost use psychedelics as a crutch to be like, oh, I'm feeling this way again. I need a psychedelic, and it works sometimes. Sometimes it's needed, but sometimes it's just like, having a routine of making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure you're drinking enough water, making sure you're eating the right foods that are working with your body, that are digesting properly. That's a
Mhm.
huge part of mental health that is not really, I would say it's not really popular. I mean, like I said before, like there's a lot of conversation around eating right and eating very well, and probiotics is something that's not super new, but it's like gut health is now becoming a very important conversation,
Mhm.
and mental health. And I think if I could give a message or a PSA out to the psychedelic community, that would be the first thing. I think it's really important that people understand that there is something that else that you can do besides an extra substance,
Mhm.
to get your life under control, and get a healthy routine, just a routine in general. Routines in general do wonders about having a schedule and not feeling like you're out of control, and you have
Yeah.
set things that you're doing for the day. That within itself is like a huge proponent of mental health. and
Mhm.
and
I
then-
think
and
that's great advice. Yeah.
yeah, and
To
after,
have some sort of control of
yeah, yeah,
something. Yeah. And like
exactly.
my thing was being staying on top of my health. That was my
Mm-hmm.
control during the beginning of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what made me feel good to keep me going.
From spiraling,
Or else I
yeah.
feel like I would have been, yeah, I would spiral and get lost,
Mm-hmm.
kind of break down.
Mm-hmm.
But I had that and I knew that I was going to feel good. And
Mm-hmm.
I was working towards a goal to feel good and be better, a better person. And like,
Yeah.
um,
And to
you
know
know,
that you're making yourself feel good for your own choices, that
mhm.
within itself is already like putting you on like cloud nine, because you're like, I make this choice, and
Yeah,
I'm making myself feel better. You know what I mean?
yeah. And
Um,
like just like researching even more because I was like getting so into all the different things of how to get healthy or what combinations to eat and stuff like that will make it beneficial for you.
mhm.
Um, and those are the type of things that I would like read about or listen to podcasts about. Um, And then that furthers my education too. So like I was using the pandemic as like a tool to grow for the
Mm.
better.
Yeah. And what better thing than to, educate yourself, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Which can be difficult when it comes to health, because, there's a lot of
Yeah.
information out there, a lot of conflicting information, and in many different places where people are just, will just like throw up their hands and be like, it's too much. Like, do I do this or don't I do this? Are fruits good for you in the morning, or aren't they? Like I don't understand. So it takes a
Hmm.
lot. It takes a lot to
Yeah.
really pay
I
attention.
would say people should do like a list of 5 things that they want to do and stick with those first.
Mhm,
You
mhm,
know, whether it's wake up in the morning and have a warm glass of water
mhm,
with lemon juice.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that one thing, because
But what
that's
does that do?
beneficial for you. That'll flush out all the toxins that have been built up overnight.
Mm,
So that's the first thing on an empty stomach, is to just wipe everything out
mhm,
and start the new day.
that's good. I think I'm gonna start doing that because I usually
So
just
that's
have
like one thing, that you can
regular
have
water.
control of, and
Yeah,
it
start
kind of wakes you
there.
up.
Yeah.
It just gets rid of everything, the
Mhm,
fogginess, and kind of like go in the morning with a clear mind.
mhm.
But there is a lot of benefits for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
also
something simple like that,
yeah, and also one thing, at least that when I started to stop eating having drinking and eating dairy, and kind of getting away from grains and stuff. Oh, not all grains, but breads and gluten and
Hmm.
stuff like that. I realized that my body wasn't feeling great and I wasn't understanding. And what helped me is the elimination diet. And that was just eliminating one thing, seeing how it affects me or how it doesn't affect me. And if I
Hmm.
felt better without it, then I would eliminate it. And I would do the same thing with something else if I felt like it was like um
Unnecessary.
if it felt like it was unnecessary, like for instance, nobody eats donuts. Definitely unnecessary. That's a no-brainer. But say like cheese. Like say I like to have cheese on my eggs every morning. If I eliminate the dairy, I'm eliminating the cheese, and I notice I feel less bloated and great, then we'll eliminate it. But if it's like
Hmm.
something that's not a big deal, like eggs, if it's not a big deal for me, if I eliminated eggs for a week and I felt like I was missing it, then I'd add it back. It just takes
Hmm.
little tweaks here and there and when you do that, you kind of train yourself to listen to your body as well.
Yeah.
Train yourself to like understand how it's feeling when you ingest this or when you don't ingest it, and is there a difference. And it's kind of a good trainer, I think.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah, even that's like such a simple thing to just talk to yourself and be like, is this benefiting me?
mm-hmm.
You know,
Exactly.
do I enjoy this? If you do, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
If you don't, and you're just doing it to do it,
Yeah, yeah.
then,
And
yeah.
and my bad thing.
And don't be afraid to alter things,
Right.
like if you're ordering takeout, don't be
Yeah.
afraid to say dressing on the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
be shy about those things.
I was just about to mention takeout because sometimes, like, I'm a sucker for McDonald's. But like, because I knew I didn't want the caffeine and I didn't want the extra sugar of Coca-Cola, like instead of ordering like a full meal, I would still order my
Sorry.
chicken nuggets, and my fries. But then I would just be like, well, I'm not gonna get the drink. You know what I mean? And that small
Mhm.
change was just a big enough to impact me, even though I'm still eating like shit. But still, I didn't have the soda.
Right. I mean, I still have french fries. French fries are like my favorite thing.
So
I
good.
just I just don't eat as much as I used to, which is
Mhm.
like the whole thing.
Every meal.
Yeah. I
1,000.
love them.
Yeah.
And I'll take the size that I want and
Hmm.
I'll enjoy those, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And portions, balance. Like, yeah, yeah, McDonald's isn't great, but I am going to eat with moderation and have it like once a month if I love McDonald's and not like
Yeah,
once a week.
exactly. And like don't feel guilty about it. Just get
Mm-hmm.
back on track.
Because you'll
As
beat
long
yourself.
as you know that you're going
Yeah.
to get back on track. and balance everything out, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, because then that's added stress if you stress yourself out.
Yeah, and a lot of people stress over that.
And that stress leads to more eating and bad food and
Yeah,
it's
like
a
they feel
cycle.
bad if they had like a cupcake, and then they
But
they
it's your
take that,
birthday.
and then they take that, and then they indulge in other things because they're like, oh well, I'm already here.
Yo, I had a
Might as
cupcake.
well.
Mine as well.
Yeah.
Popeyes.
Yeah. So like, with the 30-day program that we do, we try to get rid of the bad habits and like, go beyond, try to learn how to balance your life in general out, like with eating and what you're putting into your body. So we don't want people to feel guilty, because I feel like that's overplayed. Like, you shouldn't feel guilty about that. Just eat something if you want a cupcake, eat a healthier ingredient cupcake. You know what I mean? Or eat half of it, whatever, you really
have like a vegan carrot cake if you like carrot cake, but like that's an alternative to eating a chocolate on chocolate on chocolate.
I listened to, I was like at this meeting, and there was a doctor there, and he was walking us through like a thing where he did like kind of like hypnosis in a way. But so he would like he would say he wanted ice cream. He would take one bite of ice cream, and then he would ask himself, did I enjoy that? Do I need another bite? But he like spaced it out. He didn't have like a bite and then have another bite afterwards, right? He let his brain have some time to think about that. If I wanted another bite, because it's more psychological.
Sometimes we just want the taste of it. We don't want the whole quart,
Sometimes people just need calcium.
That too.
Yeah. Some people think they want ice cream, but they really want calcium. Their body is craving calcium. So like, you can take the second bite and then ask yourself again. And then the third bite, do I really, really want this? And if you do, go for it. If you feel like you don't really need it, then it's fine. Like, that's how I am with meat. Sometimes like I'll be like, oh, I want some steak, but I seriously only need like 2 bites.
Yeah, you don't need a whole
because I like the flavors.
That sounds like the ice cream thing. Maybe you just want that taste, but like, I'm craving this taste. A spoonful or 2 is probably sufficient.
Or even the texture. So I do a lot of like pea protein meats. I don't even do that a lot either. Like once in a while, maybe like once a week I'll have like a pea protein patty, like Beyond Meat type stuff, just to have that taste and texture. But it's all about the seasonings.
It is.
It really is. So
yeah. Anything else we should talk about? Anything else you want to add? Because I can ask the whole gambit, but I'm not sure how much you can divulge.
I mean, that's all that's really happening right now that I am really proud about.
Thank you so very much for joining me on this podcast and sharing with me your journey, your health journey, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me share.
And this is my very first podcast that I am. Even though I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is what I'm doing. I made a decision. I'm doing it. So thank you for being here.
Well, I hope that there was a lot of information that clicks with people, motivation, inspiration, and everything too. Absolutely. Maybe, hopefully some people will find some details helpful.
Oh, I'm positive. All right. Well, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Pam.